Hello, my absolutely beautiful Taurus friends, and welcome to your horoscope for September of 2023. We're Taurus this month. It is a big month. Now, you know, I don't do any of the spectacular month, biggest month ever. I don't do any of that. So when I tell you that we are in the space of big energy, I really do mean it. So first of all, the thing I want us to pay attention to is that here in September, we are about 6 weeks out from the next set of eclipse energies, which means that from your body to your mind to your spirit, the world around you, the energies are ramping up, getting ready for the course corrections that these eclipses are going to bring. Now, Taurus, you have done some eclipse action left, right, and center over this last couple years, certainly this last 18 months. So I want you to understand that first of all, the changes that you've made, the questions that you've asked, the things that have happened in your life, they were all for your greatest good. And I genuinely believe that a different, beautiful version of you has emerged where in some way you absolutely know your value. You absolutely know what you think of yourself and spaces that you're willing to go anymore. And it is an incredible thing because it was the time with the nodes transiting through Taurus and through Scorpio where you were called up and out, your expertise, your value, you're remembering that you don't need to add a whole bunch of new things to your Taurus. You simply need to stop and look around at what you already have and actualize it. Use it as a resource and an asset to better the world. And I do believe that for so many of you, this has been the experience. And if you're still working on it, it's okay. But something that I think is important to take in mind as we're traveling through September and moving forward is Taurus to genuinely stop, have a sit, have a breathe, have a think, and feel how in your physical body, remember Uranus is in your sign, so it has shaken a lot loose. So sit and be in your physical body for a minute and feel the difference of the vibration around you, because that is the eclipse energy starting to resonate and bring your attention to where the eclipses in October are going to work with us, on us, and for us. So I want you to know that the energy is quite a bit potent. Now, your ruling planet Venus is also going to come out of retrograde this month, and we'll welcome Mercury out of retrograde as well. And we will welcome Jupiter, who's in your sign, into retrograde, which is also good news because this beautiful expansion, right? The benefits, the lessons, the expansion that comes with Jupiter is so delicious. But also, sometimes when things just continue to expand, they just expand and they pop and it goes crazy and you need to have a review time. So as Jupiter takes this retrograde in your sign, you're going to get a chance to breathe, rethink what you think, rethink what the mission, the goals, the values are that you're aiming for, rethink the philosophies that you've been basing your life on and see if they are still what you want and still in alignment with where you would like to be going. So it's a really delicious time, especially if you have Jupiter direct in your chart. This retrograde will probably feel really good to you. There's a likelihood. Now, keep in mind, if you have Jupiter retrograde in your chart, instead of getting to sit in la casita, sit in the house and keep thinking and reviewing, you are being called out. This is your expansion season that will last all the way until March of 2024. So what you've been thinking about, what you've been planning, where you need to be a little bit extravagant and take your perspectives in the world, you are being called out. So busy month. Let's get in here and take a look around. At the beginning of the month coming in, Venus, the ruling planet, is coming direct in the energy of Leo in your 4th house space. Now, Venus is coming direct at 12 degrees, but during this retrograde cycle, we've been watching between 28 degrees of Leo and 12 degrees of Leo. So in the general, that hits your 4th house, home, family, real estate, property, your own emotional and security foundations, okay? But you want to look at your own personal chart, absolutely 100%, and see exactly which house is ruled by Leo for you personally, okay? That will really give you the most delicious benefit of this reading. Now, we are still, even though Venus is direct, which is fantastic, we're not fully out of the cycle until we get to October 7th and we see Venus get back to that 28 degrees of Leo energy. And then we know we're out of the eclipse cycle and we can take all of these revelations that we've had and really actualize them, okay? But since June 19th, when Venus went into this pre-retrograde shadow energy, so it started to slow down at that 12 degrees of Leo, some things that started to come to the surface for you is, first of all, really needing to do a review of your value, what you value, who you value. And also, I don't think that Venus gets enough credit for clarity, because Venus is a vibration energy. It's an attracting in energy. It's not a go hustle hard and get it energy. It's an attracting in energy. So if you're not clear on what you're trying to attract, Taurus, you attract like a mess. And then it's like, well, the universe isn't giving me what I want, right? This is not in alignment. So really a lot of clarity, I think, has been, you've been working on that, you've been looking at it, but it's really like, well, what are my values? So that I can get clarity on what I would like to attract to me. You know, how many ways, shapes, and form, Taurus, have you been really working on, even aesthetically in your home, right? I want my home to look different. I want my home to feel different. I want the relationships in my home to be different. And I want to call in the vibration that allows me to engage those interactions and those attractions in a more solid way. So whatever it is, the value perceptions have changed. Now, the last thing that I want to say about this is that yes, your home, your family, real estate matters, property, all of these things could have changed 1,000% during the Venus retrograde. So maybe you moved apartments, maybe you do these things. All in all, the thing that I think of the most is like, Taurus, at the end of the day, right, when we close it out and you're watching this scene of your life, what makes you feel secure? What sets your soul on fire? Leo is a fire energy. It is big. It is expressive. And what in that, because if you work with the space of what sets your soul on fire, or is at least honest to what you value, you can do quality over quantity. And that's what we're looking for, because the things that are just quantity in your life, when your insides are changing, right? And these vibrations of Venus are helping you see that. You let go of what's not quality, even if it means that you have less, you know, but it's this really delicious balance that I really hope that you've been out here experiencing, because that sets up a clearer pathway of your goals, of what you also want to attract in and what you're willing to repel. Let me know in the comment section down below how this has been playing out for you. On the 4th, we're going to see Jupiter take that retrograde in your sign. Now, Jupiter entered the pre-retrograde shadow time June 11th, and we're working at the degrees of 5 degrees of Taurus to 15 degrees of Taurus. So if you've got planets, points, angles, asteroids, whatever you work with, okay, between those degrees of Jupiter, there's been a bit of a rethink, a bit of an expansion going on in this area. So for you, Taurus, where has your expansion been? When you look back to June of this year, where have you absolutely had this expansion? You're out, you're bigger, you're in a different place, you've got a different level of faith, a different language, a different philosophy, these kinds of things. You guys know I'm a Taurus as well, and I literally left my country, right? And had that level of expansion. So where has that been for you? Now, as Jupiter takes this retrograde here, it's going to stay retrograde until December 30th, but it doesn't leave the full retrograde path until we get to March 23rd, and it gets back to this 15 degrees of Taurus. So you do have some time to reevaluate, you know, and slow down some of the expansion, because sometimes the blessings can be as heavy as the challenges, right? It's a lot to wrangle in. It's a lot to look at. There's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of thinking. There's a lot of, what is the mission? What is my goal? What is my intention that I am working on here, that we have to kind of go through and question. But another big piece of this is the philosophies and the beliefs and the faith in yourself. Where has this been at for you? Have you been experiencing the deliciousness of trusting yourself, knowing that you are held and guided when you sit in the seat of the hand of the universe, and that what you want is seeking you? And you are trusting yourself, you are trusting your connection with the universe to go out and experience the world? Or are you in a different place in your lessons where you're like, I just don't have perspective on myself. I don't have perspective on where I'd like to go. Jupiter is helping. It is helping here, and in retrograde, the place where the thinking, so much thinking, so many decision making. In retrograde, Jupiter starts to shrink that down just a little bit. And so the excess, right? The excessive things start to come more into our focus. And again, you're built for quality, not quantity now. And I think that this retrograde time will help you to slow down, review what you want so that you can expand and attract in the direction that you really truly want to go. I absolutely love it. Now, last thing I'll say here is that sometimes what happens is the Jupiterian vision was so good and you are expanding out. And this can include your body. Jupiter is in your first house. Have you been eating and just enjoying all those delicious luxuries of life? Because Taurus, we're built for the senses. And then a reality check comes in when Jupiter goes retrograde, and it's like, I've got to get this diet together because I've been doing the most. Now, if you're in some state of, you're making gains in the gym, you're having a baby, you've been working to put on weight, these kinds of things, these are the expansions that we're purposely looking for and wanting. But there's kind of a little reality check that can come to the table when Jupiter goes retrograde. So be mindful of what it's showing you. Don't shame yourself. Just do the work that needs to be done, okay? On the 14th, we've got a new moon happening at 21 degrees of Virgo. Now, the Virgo life has been busy because we've also had Mercury in retrograde here, okay? So this area has been under review for some time. But as we welcome in this new moon, it's your once a year opportunity in this Virgo season to go back to your 5th house and look at the changes that you're willing to concentrate and focus in on making in this particular area. What are you calling in? Again, see, we've got this beautiful theme of what are you calling in? Get clear, Taurus, on what you're calling in so that it can find you, right? So you're going to plant your seeds of intention to begin something new. Have a different perspective, call in the resources that you need, have the discernment, which is the gift of fellow earth energy Virgo, about your 5th house. Play, taking a risk, beginning something, conception, whether you're conceiving a child, you're conceiving a business, you're starting a contract to adopt, right? These can be things. What's happening with your children? Are they beginning something new and they need your discernment to help them, to be of service to them, right? Whatever it is, you're planting these seeds of intention to bring a renewal to your 5th house area. And the new moon time is really this fantastic opportunity once a year for you to look at what was your 5th house like last year. What was the Virgo area of your chart like last year? And where would you like to make an improvement? Where would you like to have more discernment? And where would you like to have a genuine concentration and personal commitment to making this area Virgo the very best that it can be, the healthiest that it can be, having habits or having routines that are the healthiest that they can be in this area. So you're your own predictor of so many of your own patterns because we just live our patterns. So look back in your life. Where have you already been here and what did it look like? And I will tell you too, because this particular lunation is in opposition to Neptune, who's over in Pisces, so the opposite energy of Virgo, some of the things may feel unclear. So what I can suggest to you too at this new moon is if you can give it a little bit of ritual time, spend the evening maybe even on your own or in some kind of quiet, some kind of silence, some kind of meditation, this would be a great time to be able to do that. The first 3 hours after a new moon tend to be the most potent in my experience. So if you can make time for that, you might be able to bring in a little bit more clarity. When we get to the 15th, though, we'll have Mercury turning direct in that Virgo energy after having started the pre-retrograde shadow time August 3rd. And this particular retrograde cycle has been working from 21 degrees back to 8 degrees. It comes direct here on the 15th, but we leave the full cycle at the end of the month when we see Mercury get back to 21 degrees of Virgo. So in these last weeks, the review has been on, and it has been a mental review. Conversations, decisions that needed to be made, any kind of communication, maybe a contract that was on the table or something like that. You needed to make decisions about, I need to go this direction, or I need to go this direction, or this is absolutely the thing. And during the Mercury retrograde, you're like, well, wait a minute, I've kind of have a different perspective, and that might not be what is the best. And now I have different information, or something has been communicated to me, and I need to make a different set of decisions. So whatever it is, as Mercury is going to come direct, even though we're not out of the full cycle in this 5th house, you might start to see some easing up and some clarity of the mind, where you're going, okay, I was feeling a little bit unsure about this, and now I feel like I have a little bit more clarity. And certainly by the end of the month, buying those tickets, finishing that project, making those plans, making that decision, beginning a course of study, any of these things might be lighting up with a bit more ease. On the 23rd, the sun moves into the energy of Libra. Now this is going to light up your 6th house of daily routines, health, wellness, the way that you care for yourself, others, animals. If you own your own business, this is definitely a house of day-to-day maintenance you want to be paying attention to. And again, flashback. How is this area of your life different than it was last year? So as we experience this sun, this solar energy bringing light, heat, life, and vitality to this area, we're going to do it like a Libra. Peace, right? We want peace. We want balance. We want strong partnership with the daily routines with our bodies. And the thing is that Venus is the ruling planet of Libra, and it's been retrograde. Now it's come direct in Leo. So again, your daily routines are being called into question in terms of what gives you a daily routine, what gives you a diet, what gives you a workout routine, what gives you a sense of purpose that is quality, that is not quantity when you're moving throughout your day. What is a daily routine that allows you to demonstrate and honor an excessive amount of respect for yourself and for others? Our bodies absolutely cannot lie to us. Our daily routines, our habits, our patterns don't lie to us. So even this could be a great time for you, since Libra is an air energy and likes to move in that intellectual space. Taurus, where if you need to keep a food journal, if you need to keep a daily routine journal and follow it and track it, because your patterns will not lie to you. And sometimes there's a Libra air head energy, a story that we're telling ourselves around not being able to achieve a certain goal. And as you put it on paper or you see it, you're like, oh, I see the way I'm in my own pattern. And I do think one more thing here with the sun in Libra, that because it can be indecisive, this might be a great season for you to bring in a coach, a trainer, some kind of outside perspective to have some partnership with, to make this area the very best that it can be for you, and find that peace and that love and that balance in this area of your life. As we're going to close out this month on the 29th, we've got this delicious full moon happening in the energy of Aries, which actually lights up your 12th house space. So in the 12th house, we're doing all the things behind the scenes, okay? So not only are we doing, the creative things, the music, the art, the healing that can come when we're moving behind the scenes, working on a research project or something like that, which is very much so behind the scenes. But we're also looking at spiritual practices. We're also looking at any of the things that have to do with illnesses, immune system issues, things that we have that we don't know that they're there until they physically manifest. Do you know what I'm saying? So depression, Sometimes you can look like you don't have depression. And then once it manifests in the slowing of energy and whatever your patterns happen to be, that's when we know we have it. Drug addiction, alcoholism, Alzheimer's, any of these things that we don't always know are there until they make themselves known. So any of the behind the scenes things. Now, the other things I like for behind the scenes is, this is an opportunity for you to end, acknowledge, or adjust where you need to honor being by yourself sometimes. Taurus, where do you need that alone time to really breathe in what is happening below the surface for you? What is the real motive behind what you're doing? What are you really thinking? What are you really up to physically? Because the full moon is going to bring an illumination of the Aries energy. This is where you're living in the eye, right? And it's nice. You have to be in the eye sometimes, but you also want to make sure that in your eye energy, you're moving in a way that is whole, that is simple, that is willing to fight the fight. So this to me also looks a lot like through the 12th house lens, looking at where secretly, quietly, privately, something is coming to light for you where you have to take the lead, Aries, to initiate something really truly with your body, with your health, with a routine, with a spiritual practice, something. There is an illumination that is trying to find the sweet spot in a full moon, which goes far one direction, far the other direction. So it creates this opposing energy. And we've got to bridge the gap between the me and the we, my insides and my outsides, right? So this is definitely a time where I think that the illumination that is presented here may also offer you the understanding that you've got to take leadership in creating something very conscious and something that is connected to you at an emotional level, even that is tied maybe to your body, because your physical body is also the access point which you warrior, which you garden, you sacred gardener out in the physical world. It's the bridge between the intangible and the tangible reality. So a lot that can be happening here at this particular moon. Now, whatever is happening for you, Taurus, first of all, I love you. I love you. And I hope that you're going to have an absolutely gorgeous month, and you will share with me the way that the things are manifesting for you as the month is closing out. And we're going to continue to ride with this North Node traveling through Aries, South Node through Libra. Where are you finding out what you actually need at this point in your life to care for yourself? Where are you being called out into that leadership position, and where you're able to shed a little bit of, I was doing this because it's good for you, but it's not actually the way that I like to live or what is important to me, right? So it's going to be really interesting. Please share with me where you're at in your journey in the comment section down below. I love you, Taurus. Have a great month.